All right, today we're jumping into a really simple, ancient story that, honestly, has a lesson that feels more important than ever. We're going to break down the travelers in the plane tree and uncover this powerful idea about how we see, and way too often, completely miss what true value really is.
And hey, before we get started, here's a little something to keep in the back of your mind as we go through this. In your own life right now, what do you think you overlook when you're looking for something of value? Just let that simmer for a bit.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Like a lot of these classic tales, it all starts with a very simple journey. You've got two guys walking down a road, and it's one of those hot, sunny summer days. Well, it doesn't take long before they hit a snag. The sun is just beating down on them, and it gets so intense that they just can't go on. They're wiped out, and they desperately need a break. And right when they need it most, they spot it. This big, beautiful plane tree, offering the perfect escape. So, of course, they hurry over and collapse in its cool, life-saving shade. So, this seems like a pretty straightforward moment of relief, doesn't it? Problem meets solution. But this is where the story takes a turn. What happens when our idea of what's valuable is just way too narrow? So picture this. As they're sitting there, literally being saved from the sun by this tree, one of the travelers looks up and says, out loud, "What a useless tree this is." I mean, seriously? Useless? Why on earth would he say that? Well, it turns out his checklist for what makes a tree useful is incredibly specific. Does it have fruit? Nope. Nuts? Not a chance. Can you use the wood for something? Guess not. So by his very limited standards, this tree is a total write-off. And that's the heart of the problem, right there. His entire judgment was based on what the tree could produce. Tangible stuff he could take, like food or lumber. He was completely blind to what the tree was providing at that very second. But just then, the story shifts. A new voice cuts through the air, and it's got a simple, powerful message. Don't be so ungrateful. And where is this voice coming from? You guessed it, the tree itself. Its leaves rustle and it speaks up. And the tree just lays out the plain, simple truth that the traveler is missing. It says, I am being extremely useful to you at this very moment, shielding you from the hot sun. It couldn't be more obvious. So let's just break this down because the disconnect is huge. From the traveler's point of view, the tree is useless, worthless, because it has no products. But in reality, it's providing life-saving shade, immediate comfort. It's not just useful, it's absolutely essential in that moment. And the tree wraps it up with this perfect, sharp comeback, just pointing out how absurd it is to insult the very thing that's helping you survive. Okay, so that's the story. But what's the real takeaway here? What's the hidden purpose of this little fable? Let's unpack the moral of the story.
At the absolute center of this story is the idea of gratitude. And it's more than just saying thanks. It's about being ready to actually see and appreciate the good that's right in front of your face. It's the one thing that traveler totally missed.
Now, the original fable, it doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't just imply the lesson. It comes right out and says it. The story ends with a really powerful, direct moral.
The source text wraps it all up by saying, all of God's creations have a good purpose. We should never belittle Allah's blessings. So this frames the story very clearly as a lesson to recognize the value in everything and to see those things as blessings you just shouldn't take for granted.
So you can kind of see the trap the traveler fell into, and it's a trap any of us can fall into. It goes like this. First, we're looking for value, but then we judge everything by these super narrow personal rules. And because of that, we end up overlooking the blessings that are right there. And the result? We completely miss the true hidden purpose of things. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. The most crucial point is this. Real value isn't always about what something can produce for you. So often, the deepest value lies in the simple, profound purpose it serves. So I'll leave you with this to think about. That traveler totally missed the value of his plane tree. So what about you? What's the plane tree in your life? A person, a job, a situation that you might be misjudging? What immediate blessing could you be overlooking just because it doesn't fit your little checklist of what's useful? What in your life deserves a second look?